I said, you guys had the mics and the cameras on us at a particular time. Man, the work and the heart we putting it in the sacrifice. Everybody took from their family. Families had to sacrifice, and it's rough right now. It's real rough right now. Like I said, I take responsibility because when a guy stays that close to the game plan, then I'm comfortable with the way the fight should went. And I felt like he stayed close enough to the game plan. Adamick is an underrated heavyweight. I've always said that. I always thought he was better than what people gave him credit for. But my thing is, in part, is that bottom line, I felt he could be dissected. And I felt we did dissect it. And I think, like I said, my guy's still in the process of learning how to do that. He's going to look at the tape himself and realize, in part, I can turn that up and stop the dude. You know what I mean? But that's a learning process. Right now, he's uncomfortable with us. Too much work he put in with his family and everything to get a decision like that. When they said the draw, I just turned my head so he wouldn't see my disappointment. And then they came back and said, wait a minute, there's a change? So it was like, hold on, it's like saying, no, wait a minute, what we thinking about stabbing you? No, we're not going to stab you, we're going to chop your head off. It was crazy for me. I was just like, I just looked at him and felt so bad because I knew the work he put in. He fought the number 3 heavyweight in the world. It's Klitschko, Adamick. That's how they have him rated. Steve came in, gave the guy 20 pounds. And still boxing got so. But it's called boxing. The problem is we getting caught up because it's called boxing. Now, there's another sport very similar to ours that's not called boxing. It's called MMA. And there's a lot of excitement for a few rounds, and there's some brutality. And if you get caught up to the point where you want to compete with that, where we're only going to favor our fighters who come as close to MMA as we need, then we got a problem.
Big problem.
I mean, whenever we see a guy stick and move and box smart, we almost don't know what we're watching anymore.
Nazim, one quick question, and I'll throw it back to Jeff after that. You've been around the game a long time. You're one of the long-term survivors of this business. What does this do to a fighter, this type of disappointment after putting this work in with his family?
This hurts anybody. Steve Cunningham, fortunately enough, is cut from a different cloth. See, what it is because you don't see Steve do interviews like a gorilla and he talk like a bad boy and his pants don't sag and he ain't always talking about who he gonna knock off and all that. He's one of the toughest human beings I've ever been around. So this does damage to a fighter. We're blessed that this kid is a little different. So we might be able to recover. He got a beautiful family, got a beautiful network around him. You know what I mean? I had the benefit to work with some other teams and go on and it make me come home and hug each one of them and appreciate them even more. So with that kind of network around him, that kind of protective hedge around him, he's got a great opportunity to bounce back. Now, where does he go forward in boxing? He has to formulate a game plan. The one thing he's going to find out that he's not familiar with is that the world saw him. That's the one thing that's going to be different than any other time he got juice. He's going to feel a little better when he goes up the street to the store and every single person stops him and say, hey, man. I mean, it's going to still hurt, but they're going to be like, hey, man, we thought you won.
It comes to the power of the people like we talked about, Nazim. You know, sometimes a loss is almost makes you a winner because, again, it's like people are going to feel that he won the fight. And he's going to go to the grocery store. And people are going to, oh, yeah, that's the guy that got that sour decision. I mean, so maybe in his defense, it might come out to be smelling like a rose.
The thing is, but you can't let the damage get to the guy. Because like I say, the guy worked now for this. And working now for this, it's hard to say, we're not going to pay you this. I never forget we was talking to Roy. And Roy said, I won the Olympic gold medal. He said, they gave me the Val Barker with the Outstanding Boxing Cup. He said, that's nice. He said, but I came for the gold medal. I won the fight that should have got me the gold medal. And to this day, he's still not a gold medalist. This man fought for his first heavyweight title, and he should have been champion. He fought a very smart fight. He fought a disciplined fight. He actually fought the kind of fight that does boxing proud, to show people that we don't just run out and tuck our head down and just beat each other to death. You know what I mean? He showed you the fight where you can use intellect and using intelligence in the ring and be smart. It's a great fight to teach young fighters what to do.
But it's like you said, I mean, you can't let this damage you. I mean, it's psychologically, it's sad. But the camp that you have, I was out there in Philly. I mean, the gym, you know, that whole atmosphere is a positive energy. And you go back to the drawing board after the holidays and you sit down with Steve, and I guarantee you, he's coming back hard. I mean, what he showed today in the ring was amazing. That is a real heavyweight. He's a real heavyweight right now.
He's a special dude, and you got special people around him. I mean, like I say, his lawyer, his manager, the people he got around him are impeccable. So that's a plus. That's a plus. And believe me, if anything is incorrect or anything is not put in its proper place, I promise you his lawyer will find it. I promise you John will dig it up. If something's funky, then it's going to be brought to the forefront. That's for certain, for sure. So he can live in confidence in that, knowing that. But bottom line, we know sometimes things happen. I mean, we all got our opinions. You may say, well, if they had a bigger security team here, the judges may not feel as afraid to get out the building if they get the decision the other way. But the judge might be sitting there saying, hey, listen, I still got to get on to my family. So I'm going to do what I got to do. Because these Polish people decide to take this building up, I'm in trouble. I mean, that would be your opinion. I mean, whatever your opinion is. I mean, you go with it because we're hurting right now. So we're spinning. So we're feeling all kind of stuff.
Yeah, and by right you should. But on another note, I do want to talk about moving forward. Again, it was a pleasure to watch. I call it a boxing renaissance, what you guys are doing in Philadelphia. It just seems like it's all coming full circle again, where boxing is in need of beautiful artwork. But, again, watching stuff like this, you only get to see it in almost like a Mayweather-Hopkins fight. Your guys are putting it on that type of level just in the club fights again. So, again, I commend you on what you guys are doing down there. And 10 years from now, people look back and be like, this is where it resurrected once again.
We hoping, like I said, we went with smart boxing. I told him when he sat down in the corner, a couple of times he went to his fist fight thing, because Steve Hardy is big as all outdoors. He will stand in there with the heavyweight animate and go toe to toe. I mean, that's just the way he built.
Nothing to be ashamed of tonight.
But it's not effective for us. I mean, I told him, you can touch this guy and not get touched back. I said, man.
Yeah. So if there is another fight, do you leave it up to the judges again, or do you go for the knockout?
The statement, that's what me and Steve talked about before. The famous statement of don't leave it in the judges' hands. Marquez demonstrated that to y'all. Do you know the amount of fighters in the history of boxing that are capable to do what Marquez did the other night? You can count on one hand and have fingers left. If we didn't have to leave it up to the judges, nobody would. You'd have all knockouts. Nobody wants to leave it up to the judges. No fight. There's no fight where the guy went in and say, I want to win a beautiful decision. I went into one fight and actually wanted to win the decision more than the knockout. One fight ever. And that's when Shane went to fight Pacquiao. Because I thought it was harder to beat Pacquiao in the 12-round decision than it is to knock him out. I feel like he presents himself to be knocked out, and it's a matter of time somebody catches him. I told Shane that. I said, but to beat him for 12 rounds with his energy, to me, is remarkable. For somebody to beat him in a 12-round decision. I said, and if you do, you're going to get the rematch, and then you can go knock him out. But that's the only fight I ever went to where I wouldn't have mind. I wouldn't mind getting a decision over a knockout. Cool. This is boxing, man. Like I said, we just want to make sure Steve is healed up and good and wants to move forward. He's disappointed, man. He put a lot of work, he put a lot of investment in this. And that was uncool. I'm not saying, I'm not like everybody else. Oh, it's a brutal robbery, you got raped, you got attacked, it's a close fight. We won the fight. On all the aspects of what is boxing. Boxing is about hitting and not getting hit. Did this kid demonstrate any defense? Did Adam show any defense? Only time he missed is when we just missed him. When we punched out of range. When we was in range, anything we could do hit him. So what is this boxing? Like I said, we start talking about that.
Yeah, no, it's like you said earlier, like people don't know how to appreciate a jab. Just because it's a jab doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
But the thing is, we in the gym drilling everywhere. You got everybody that learns all the sayings of boxing. Everything off the jab. The jab is the most important punch in boxing. Everybody has learned to say the sayings. But you got judges sitting there that don't even know what they're looking at anymore. He's just jabbing. This ain't exciting enough for me. Because if this guy hits Steve's arm, the crowd gonna erupt. If this guy hits Steve's shoulder, the crowd gonna go crazy. And Steve is in there boxing, just a smart, talentless guy. Never showed fatigue. Never showed no quitting. Adam showed a few times where Steve London. Adam showed a few times where Steve just not a big enough man to go in there and seize the situation. It's very impressive, man.
Let me grab this hoodie and we out.
I'm done.